So the first thing is people have asked about double-click blueprints. So Snoot, if you haven't been here, so one thing that we sort of talked about was there's some user UX issues with blueprints, and one solution surrounding building your blueprints is, what if it was a thing where you could click to place the blueprint hologram, and you're free to move around and look at it, make sure it's like lined up where you want, and then you click again to build. So basically, it's when you build like a conveyor belt poles, for example, you click once and then you can adjust the height. Maybe with this thing you can click once, maybe you could rotate it, who knows, right? So that's one thing. So people ask, is there any updates on that? And the message that we got so far is that we are working on improving and expanding building functionality for blueprints. That is going to happen. I've said that before. And the plan was always to finalize blueprints as part of the future update, because we knew we wouldn't be able to get everything in that we wanted for update 7. But you might then say, then why did you put it in at all? It's because if we didn't include that, we couldn't really include anything else, because a lot of things sort of rely on other things. A lot of systems do. So in order to progress, we needed to get it out anyway, and then we intended on improving them. So that's always been the plan with blueprints. As for the double-click placement, that's something that we're looking at. We've seen it suggested on the QA site. It's also been suggested internally, independently of the QA site. So it's definitely a suggestion that is probably fairly favorable, but that doesn't mean we'll do it or not. So we don't know if we'll actually go for it or not. We're still in the early stages of blueprints. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. So I know that my answer to this question, I think last week, was like, oh, I don't know. And the answer is still, I don't know, basically, because we just don't know yet. But just so you know, people on the team have acknowledged the double clicks as a blueprint option, build option, as we've acknowledged that idea. I don't know what we're doing with it, though.
It kind of ties into that, because people have been asking that for every building, really, that like you can sort of place down a ghost building and then...
Okay.
And like, I can just say real quick, for regular buildings, because it might be different for blueprints, so I'm not saying that we're not going to do it for blueprints, but one thing that's always been an issue for regular buildings is that it made it kind of awkward to build, because in a lot of other games, when you do have that functionality, usually it's that you like put in resources into the ghost building, and it becomes like it's like another step of building. Whereas in our game, we felt like it just kind of obstructs the regular building, but maybe it could be like a separate mode or something like that. But like for the base build game, we felt like it was just, because I actually worked on that prototype, and we felt that it's cool and it's useful sometimes, but it's not useful all the time. And it's more useful, like it's only useful in certain cases, and it's like not worth having that as like part of the regular build system because of that. But at that...
Yeah, and so maybe even...
But at that time, we didn't have like the different build modes that we had, that we have now, like the different snapping modes and stuff like that. So, you know, it's possible that maybe there could be a build mode for that in the future.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll see.
But
okay, so...
Planning mode is something that's been suggested a bunch of times, where you just put down a bunch of holograms. Yeah, I don't know. Sounds like probably a good idea. I think the team has heard that feedback before as well.